পৃষ্ঠা ২০৭। এখানে লেখা আছে গ্রামার। পৃষ্ঠা ২০৮ কোনো লেখা নেই। পৃষ্ঠা ২০৯ টেক্সচুয়াল গ্রামার। The night train at Deoli. Synthesis of sentences. Join the following sentences as per the instructions given in brackets. Question 1. Then I was at college. I used to spend my summer vacations in Dehra. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. When I was at college, I used to spend my summer vacations in Dehra. Question 2. I would leave the plains early in May. I would return late in July. Join into a simple sentence. Answer. Leaving the plains early in May, I would return late in July. Question 3. Deoli was a small station. It was about 30 miles from Dehra. It marked the beginning of the heavy jungles of the Indian Tarai. Join into a simple sentence. Answer. Deoli, a small station about 30 miles from Dehra, marked the beginning of the heavy jungles of the Indian Tarai. Question 4. Deoli was a desolate station. The train stopped for 10 minutes before rushing on into the forests. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. Deoli was a desolate station because the train stopped for 10 minutes before rushing on into the forests. Question 5. I decided to spend a day at Deoli. I wanted to please the town. Join into a simple sentence. Answer. I decided to spend a day at Deoli to please the town. Question 6. She was a young girl. She was walking gracefully and with dignity. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. She was a young girl walking gracefully and with dignity. Question 7. She came to my window. She stopped. Join into a simple sentence. Answer. Coming to my window, she stopped. পৃষ্ঠা ২১০। Question 8. The baskets are very strong. The baskets are made of the finest cane. Join into a simple sentence. Answer. The baskets are very strong, made of the finest cane. 9. She was about to talk. The guard blew his whistle. Join into a compound sentence. Answer. She was about to talk, but the guard blew his whistle. 10. I reached Dehra. The incident became blurred and distant. There were other things to occupy my mind. Join into a complex sentence. When I reached Dehra, the incident became blurred and distant, for there were other things to occupy my mind. Question 11. We were both pleased. It was almost like a meeting of old friends. Join into a compound sentence. Answer. We were both pleased and it was almost like a meeting of old friends. 12. I had to wrench my hands away from the girl. I had to run for the moving train. Join into a simple sentence. Answer. I had to wrench my hands away from the girl to run for the moving train. 13. The college term finished. I packed in haste. I left for Dehra earlier than usual. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. When the college term finished, I packed in haste to leave for Dehra earlier than usual. Question 14. The college term finished. I packed in haste. I left for Dehra earlier than usual. Join into a simple sentence. Answer. The college term being finished, I packed in haste to leave for Dehra earlier than usual. 15. The train drew into Deoli. I felt nervous and anxious. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. As the train drew into Deoli, I felt nervous and anxious. 16. I would not stand helplessly before her. I was determined. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. I was determined that I would not stand helplessly before her. Question 17. My grandmother was not pleased with my visit after all. I didn't stay at her place more than a couple of weeks. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. My grandmother was not pleased with my visit after all because I didn't stay at her place more than a couple of weeks. 18. The new station master didn't know the girl sold baskets. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. The new station master didn't know the girl who sold baskets. 19. The narrator wanted to find the girl. The girl had stolen his heart with nothing but a look from her dark, impatient eyes. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. The narrator wanted to find the girl who had stolen his heart with nothing but a look from her dark, impatient eyes. পৃষ্ঠা 211. Question 20. Something really happened to the girl. I was afraid of discovering that. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. I was afraid of discovering what really happened to the girl. 21. I will never break my journey at Deoli. It may spoil my game. Join into a complex sentence. Answer. I will never break my journey at Deoli because it may spoil my game. Splitting of sentences. Split the following sentences into two simple sentences. Question 22. When I was at college, I used to spend my summer vacation in Dehra. Answer. Then I was at college, I used to spend my summer vacations in Dehra. 23. The train would reach Deoli at about 5 in the morning, when the station would be dimly lit with electric bulbs and oil lamps. Answer. The train would reach Deoli at about 5 in the morning. Stop. Full stop. At that time, the station would be dimly lit with electric bulbs and oil lamps. Question 24. I do not know why it stopped at Deoli. Answer. It stopped at Deoli. Full stop. I do not know the reason. Question 25. I always felt sorry for the place that nobody wanted to visit. Answer. I always felt sorry for the place, full stop. Nobody wanted to visit the place. 26. She saw that I was looking at her intently. Answer. I was looking at her intently, full stop. She saw this. 27. A kettle was boiling over on a small fire, but the owner of the stall was busy serving tea somewhere on the train. Answer. A kettle was boiling over on a small fire, full stop. The owner of the stall was busy serving tea somewhere on the train. 28. I gave her a rupee, hardly daring to touch her fingers. Answer. I gave her a rupee. I hardly dared to touch her fingers. 29. When I was making the return journey, I remembered the girl. Answer. I was making the return journey, full stop. At that time, I remembered the girl. 30. We said nothing for some time, but we couldn't have been more eloquent. Answer. We said nothing for some time, full stop. We couldn't have been more eloquent. 31. As the train gathered speed, I sat brooding in front of the window. Answer. The train gathered speed, full stop. I sat brooding in front of the window. পৃষ্ঠা 212. Question 32. I could do nothing about finding a girl who had hardly spoken to me. Answer. The girl had hardly spoken to me. I could do nothing about finding the girl. 33. I felt a tenderness and responsibility for the girl that I had never felt before. Answer. I felt a tenderness and responsibility for the girl. Full stop. I had never felt so before. 34. The new man didn't know anything about the girl who sold baskets. Answer. The new man didn't know anything about the girl. Full stop. The new man didn't know anything about the girl. She sold baskets. "35. I decided to find the girl who had stolen my heart." Answer. I decided to find the girl, full stop. She had stolen my heart. 36. When the train drew into Deoli station, I looked up and down the platform for signs of the girl. Answer. The train drew into Deoli station. I looked up and down the platform for signs of the girl. Change of narration. Change the mode of narration. Question 37. Do you want a basket? Quote, do you want a basket? Unquote. She asked the narrator. Answer. She asked the narrator if he wanted a basket. 38. Quote, no, unquote. The narrator said, quote, I don't want a basket, unquote. Answer. The narrator replied that he did not want a basket. Question 39. Quote, all right, give me one, unquote. The narrator said. Answer. The narrator agreed and told her to give him one. 40. The narrator said, quote, I felt the impulse to put her on the train and take her away with me, unquote. Answer. The narrator said that he felt the impulse to put her on the train and take her away with him. 41. Quote, I have to go to Delhi. Quote, I have to go to Delhi, unquote. The narrator said. Answer. The narrator said that he had to go to Delhi. 42. The girl said that she did not have to go anywhere. Answer. The girl said, quote, I do not have to go anywhere, unquote. 43. Quote, I will come again, unquote. The narrator said. Quote, will you be here, unquote. Answer. The narrator promised that he would go again and asked if she would be there. 44. The narrator said to the station master, quote, do you know the girl who used to sell baskets here, unquote. Answer. The narrator asked the station master if he knew the girl who used to sell baskets there. Question 45. The station master said to the narrator, quote, you'd better get on the train if you don't want to be left behind, unquote. Answer. The station master advised the narrator to get on the train if he didn't want to be left behind. Prishta 213. Question 46. I asked the new station master if he knew anything about the girl with the baskets. Answer. I said to the new station master, comma, quotation started, do you know anything about the girl with the baskets? Quotation finished. Question 47. Quote, there was such a girl here, I remember quite well, unquote, said the tea stall owner. Answer. The tea stall owner said that he remembered quite well that there was such a girl there. 48. The owner of the tea stall said that she had stopped coming then. Answer. The owner of the tea stall said, quote, she has stopped coming now, unquote. 49. The narrator asked the tea stall owner what had happened to her. Answer. The narrator asked the tea stall owner, quote, what happened to her, unquote. 50. Quote, how should I know, unquote, said the tea stall owner, quote, she was nothing to me, unquote. Answer. The tea stall owner, he had no way to know her, for she had been nothing to him. Correct of errors. Correct the errors in the following sentences by choosing the right option. 51. Question 51. The station would be dimly lit over electric bulbs and oil lamps. Answer. The station would be dimly lit with electric bulbs and oil lamps. Question 52. The train stopped for only 10 minutes before rushing on the forests. Answer. The train stopped for only 10 minutes before rushing on into the forests. 53. I always felt sorry for that lonely little platform. Answer. I always felt sorry for that lonely little platform. 54. She was a young girl walking gracefully and dignity. Answer. She was a young girl walking gracefully and with dignity. 55. And then those eyes, searching and eloquent, met I. Answer. And then those eyes, searching and eloquent, met mine. 56. I used to wonder what happened in Deoli. Answer. I used to wonder what happened in Deoli. Question 57. I decided that one day I would get the train at Deoli. Answer. I decided that one day I would get off the train at Deoli. 58. I gave her a rupee, hard daring to touch her finger. Answer. I gave her a rupee, hardly daring to touch her finger. 59. I watched her as the platform slipped off. Answer. I watched her as the platform slipped away. পৃষ্ঠা 214. Question 60. I could not get rid my mind the picture of the girl's face and her dark, smoldering eyes. Answer. I could not get rid my mind of the picture of the girl's face and her dark, smoldering eyes. Question 61. We both pleased, and it was almost like the meeting of old friends. Answer. We both were pleased, and it was almost like the meeting of old friends. 62. I looking out for her as the train drew into the station. Answer. I was looking out for her as the train drew into the station. Question 63. When the college term finished, I packed in haste and left for Dehra. Answer. When the college term finished, I packed in haste and left for Dehra. 64. I felt a tenderness and responsibility that I never before. Answer. I felt a tenderness and responsibility that I had never felt before. Question 65. I decided to find the girl who stolen my heart. Answer. I decided to find the girl who had stolen my heart.